Hello you guys and welcome to the channel. If you're new, don't be.
I'm Whitney. Keep it cute, get the boot.
Your girl, as whack as she is in all her glory, was in the New York Times. All right, you guys, welcome back. Disclaimer. This platform discusses any and all information that has been made known to the public in any way. I am not a journalist. I am a commentator. The information is all alleged, but the commentary is very real. All right. So good evening, everybody, and welcome. All right, welcome back, you guys. As I state this, I wasn't going to hold you guys because child, the government didn't even address these damn text messages. So, but not for nothing. I am doing as I told you guys that I would, and that's me finally responding to thus text messages. And I told you guys I wanted to wait on the government. And as I kind of predicted, I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't think they were going to address it because they weren't necessarily not relevant, but it's kind of like feeding into the notion of the parents, and they're like, that's not what it's about. And if you notice, they stayed on topic. They stayed with who was the person involved, and that is RKelly. They didn't have to address those text messages because it had nothing to do with anything, as I've been stating. However, on the contrary, I was doing my own research. And like I said, this as we go into this, know that this has nothing to do necessarily with the CLARYS or my relationship with them. I know what I know. I saw what I saw. I spoke to who I spoke to. I know exactly what happened. I'm just going to be honest with you. I know why it happened and all of that jazz. However, to disconnect from the connection, if you will, and to make this specifically transcript based, I decided to do my own research and kind of throw away what I know to be true and went at this in a way that you guys could possibly have done. And a lot of us, I can see, did not. A lot of us have been listening to these YouTube streets, be it on the opposite side and on this supposed side. And it's unfortunate because these are real people's lives. And since day one of me getting involved with this whole case and trial and all this stuff like that, I've been genuine with who I say I am and consistent with what I say I do. And that's evidence over emotions. On the contrary, a lot of people would say I'm being biased or things of that nature, but I've been consistent. If I am biased, my biasness has been consistent. And I stand with what I stand for, and that's the victims, period, hands down. But in lieu of all this that transpired as we read and heard about these text messages, it raised a lot of eyebrows and flags for many of us, including me. So much so that upon me first getting the news, I was like, oh, I don't remember reading that anywhere, because we didn't hear the extensiveness of it. However, as I, went and did my own research, we getting buffering. On the contrary, as me doing my own research and not being sheeple, okay, which I don't really follow the grain, I found some things that I think we kind of overlooked. And if you would join me, just tickle my fancy. I'm not asking you to agree. I'm just asking you to use the context that where there's a will, there's a way. Okay. Now, allow me to take you guys on a quick little journey with some bullet points and things of that nature. Okay. Now, I'm going to be weaving in and out of both Azriel's transcript, which is Jane Doe number 5, and then the appealing transcript. Now, thank you, Hot Rod. We're going to be weaving in and out of both her transcripts as well as Bojangles' appealing submission, okay? And then I'm going to show you just online stuff that you can look up on your own, okay? Now, before we get into that, I just want you guys to hear this particular clip. I tend to watch The Lawyer, and he's a lawyer. So you don't have to listen to me or hear what I have to say in regards to it, because I just use logic and I try my best to use common sense, okay? Not for nothing, I'm going to turn it over. And again, this credit goes to The Lawyer, in regards to the whole speculation of the parents, okay?
And that one I found interesting because the defense in that case is blaming the mother, saying the mother enticed Kelly. That's an interesting.
Well, that was a kind of a
argument.
common theme for these parents to kind of like sell their children,
right? Because they were looking for stardom again. Was the enterprise his branding? Of course it was. Because think about this. Would that mother have pushed her daughter onto him if it wasn't for the fact that they were looking at stardom based on the fact they were going to be associated with Kelly? So again, the enterprise comes into it, and it shows it is independent and operates independent of the individual.
Okay, so the reason why I wanted you guys to hear that clip is that you heard him say, well, duh. And that's why I keep saying, the more people talk about these parents, the more you're basically saying that he did it, but, right? And the thing is that oftentimes we forget how things operate and how things go in this music industry, especially when you have a talented and gifted individual, a child, if you will. And I'm not going to say male or female, because we've also heard in the transcripts how John Doe's mother reached out to RKelly as well. Okay. She had a phone conversation. She was a self-proclaimed fan. So much so she bought a freaking CD in order for her son to get into this particular party. Okay. However, the hate train is steered towards the CLARYS. I get it. In lieu of this hate train, I just wanted to bring some things to everyone's fruition. As I stated, if you would go along with me on this particular journey, okay? All right. So let me share my screen. And I'm not going to take long. I promise you, I'm not going to take up much of your time. I'm going to say what I have to say, and then that's it, okay? My life does not revolve around clickbaiting when it comes to this RKelly. I put the information out there, and I say what I have to say one time. I'm not going to go back and forth with nobody. I'm not going to prove nothing. I'm not going to do any of that, okay? However, I'm keeping my word to my viewers and those thereof, okay? But life continues, okay? We will continue straight talking, all the other stuff. I'm not going to keep dwelling on this, okay? All right. Just an update to let you guys know, defense has an opportunity to respond to the government, okay? April 4th, if I'm not mistaken. They have until April 4th to respond, okay? All right. So let me go ahead and share my screen. On page 77, we will read in Azriel's testimony, okay? I'll start from the top. Are you okay? At that time, had you earned any money singing? She states, I had. Now, how had you earned money? She said, outside of my school, I was a performer and I did shows and I would write music. She goes on to say, so usually I would get gigs. And you were paid for some of those gigs? She said, I was. She was asked, what type of music did you want to pursue back then? She states R&B. They asked her the question, well, and what type of music did the defender perform? She stated R&B. A question, you also testified that one of your interests in high school were sports. What types of sports did you participate in? She answers, I participated in track and weightlifting. Question, I want to turn back to when one of the defendant's associates gave you the defendant's phone number. Were you then interested in the defendant romantically? She states, I was not. Question, you testified though that you did try to contact him by sending him a text message. She said, I did. Question, well, why did you try to reach out to the defendant? She goes on to say, because he was a musician as well, and I felt that any critique would be good critiques. She goes on to say, critique of your own musical skills? She says, yes. Line 5. How did you eventually get in touch with the defendant? Azriel states, I eventually had a FaceTime with him because I didn't know if it was necessary, just someone from his entourage who was trying to take advantage of me. And when I did FaceTime him, it was in fact him. So she contacted him first and spoke to him first. Okay. Okay. Let's continue. So they go on and, ask her to talk about what a FaceTime is. And she just depicts a FaceTime as a visual phone call, which you can only utilize on an Apple phone. And don't worry, we're going to get into all of that, okay? So they say, okay, so was it a way for you to see the caller that you're talking to? She says, yes. They asked her, now, at the time when you first FaceTime with the defendant, did you learn whether or not either of your parents, if any, had any contact with the defendant? She states, at that time, I did not. So your first time talking to him, you wasn't told that your mama texted him. Not at that time. So one would think this was the initial communication between Azriel and RKelly. At that time, she wasn't privy to that her mom had a conversation prior to. Keep that in mind, okay? How were you able to get the defendant's phone number? Well, when I realized that I didn't have the right number, I happened to be on my mom's phone. I happened to be on my mom's phone for something, and I did see she had been texting the defendant. So by reading that, Azriel had access to her mother's phone at some point. So much so that she was on it for whatever reason, right? Okay. 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 Hold that note. So she goes on, they go on and ask, you know, what form of communication? Text message. I saw a text message, okay? And she basically was telling him, you know, who she was. She said that I was 18 and blah, 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 as we know, right? Okay. So let's go down to page 779, all right? Line 12 says, do you recall what telephone you were using to communicate with the defendant? Azriel response says, I was using an iPod that I had gifted to my mother because at the time I had an Android. And did the iPod allow you to do FaceTiming? She stated it did. And did you use another telephone to also text message and communicate with the defendant? I did. All right. So upon me doing my research, I said, well, what is an iPod, right? One would think when you hear iPod, you remember the little music player and stuff like that. Oh, no. On the contrary, that's not what an iPod is. You know, they upgrade all the time. You got all these different levels of iPhones and stuff like that. No different with the iPod. Let me show you. As you guys see here, okay, and I'm going to blow it up. These are different devices, okay, brought to you by way of Apple. At the top, we have the Apple TV. Aside from that, we have the iPad and we have the iPhone. What's that? An iPod. Yeah. So let's play with the screen, shall we? Okay. Let's play with the screen. This is an iPod. This is an iPod as well. Okay. Okay. Hope y'all can see that. Okay. Those are iPods. Do they look familiar? Absolutely they do. They look like little iPhones, right? Oh, well, Whitney, that could be, child, that could be something new that you just found, Whitney. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, I totally understand that. So that's why I looked up Apple Electronics in 2015. You know, when all this stuff took place. Let's see how they looked back then. Watch out there now. These are Apple devices dated in 2015. Okay. Let's see if iPods were around that time and how they looked. Okay. All right. So we have the iPad Smart keyboard and the Pro and the, you know, and the Mac and iPad and, Apple and, ooh, okay, all right, okay. Oh, what is that over there? Looking like an iPhone. Why, that's no other than an iPod. Apple devices in 2015. This is an iPod Touch. You're more than welcome to look it up if you would like. But on the contrary, it was like a FaceTime. I mean, it was like an iPhone. Okay, Whitney, so what? Who cares about all this? What does this mean? Oh, well, let's hear what they say in regards to syncing, because with regards to Apple devices, you can sync all your devices with one thing. And I remind you, in Azriel's testimony, as we heard, she bought her mom an iPod. On top of that, she had access to her mother's phone, as well as all these other components. Just to give you a little more detail in regards to that, she, as teenagers do, would sneak and get her phone and stuff like that when she got on punishment. But, that detail is not necessary. Let's continue, okay? So I want you guys to watch this particular video. Real quick, okay?
Hey everyone, in today's video, I want to show you how to sync anything from your iPhone and your iPad so you basically get identical information on both. Now, the easiest way to do this, and the first way I'm going to show you, is by correctly using iCloud, because this will sync up 90% of things that you want to sync up. And then I'll show you another method at the end that requires a different software on a computer, but it does make it easier for that 10% of people that are not getting quite enough with this first method. So where people get this wrong a lot is they actually use the different Apple ID on their phone and their iPad. So to check this, go to the settings on your phone first, the settings app here. Let me jump in there first. And make sure you click on iCloud right here on top. Your name should be up here. If it says sign in, make sure you click that and sign into iCloud. And you need to make sure whatever email shows up here under your name is the same email you're using on the iCloud on the iPad.
Did you hear that? That's where the synction comes in. For one device, it trickles down to all of the devices. But what do I know, right? Who cares about that, Whitney? Get to it, right? Okay. Let's continue hearing what he had to say, okay? In regards to this syncing.
I'm going to go to my settings on my iPhone one more time. And on this same page, I'm going to click on iCloud, where it says iCloud. Click on it. And this is everything that's getting backed to iCloud and syncing with your iPad. So if things are not checked on here, they're not going to sync between the two devices. So make sure everything that you see over here is on green if you want it on both of your devices and attached to iCloud here. Now, some of the apps are not going to be compatible and they're not going to show up on your iPad. So you'll have to download those again from the App Store on the iPad. But that's okay, because then you could use the same user login there and get the same information. But make sure pretty much everything from messages to photos is all checked on over here. That's very, very important on this step.
What was that? What was that? Messages. Oh, messages too can sync to all your devices? Oh, no.
AirDrop, I could choose my iPad here and it will be sent wirelessly to my iPad. The only thing that you got to make sure you have turned on for that to work is you have to make sure that Wi-Fi is turned on. And I usually even turn on Bluetooth in most cases, but in this case, it's just used the Wi-Fi to send it over to my iPad. This also has Bluetooth and Wi-Fi turned on as well. This is AirDrop, another additional thing to make sure.
Just wanted to show that particular piece. Okay. Now, okay, Whitney, so you can sync all the devices and things to that nature. Who cares, right? Okay, that's fine. So I went on the site, right? I went on the Apple site because I was just like, okay, because mind you, Azriel said she had an Android. Oh, come on, somebody. Her mother was the only one with Apple electronics, an Apple phone, as well as an iPod. But let's continue, okay? I want to share the site with you, okay? Here on the site, because I was just curious, just curious or whatever. And so I looked up, some particular information. You can use FaceTime on any of these devices on Wi-Fi, iPhone 4 or later, iPad Pro, iPad 2 later, iPad Mini, and iPod Touch. Oh, okay. Okay. Interesting, right? I also looked up a particular article. I just inquiring minds would have liked to know how to view text messages, from article to article. But we're going to get in that in a little bit, okay? I just wanted y'all to see how you can sync phones and things to that nature. And we're going to get into more details. But I want to get back into these transcripts, right? Okay. So we hear how Azriel gifted her mother with an iPod. Okay. All right. So at this time, she's not only using the daggone gift that she gave her mama, okay, which is connected quite possibly to her phone, okay? Because when she was asked, do you recall that telephone you were using to communicate with the defendant? She didn't have nothing to say in regards to it because she wasn't using the telephone. She was using that iPod, which, as we heard, all you need is Wi-Fi, okay? And she go and what we're going to be able to hear on down the line is that you can be anywhere in the world as long as you have Wi-Fi and you have that iCloud account to click into. And you can still tap into the phone calls, the text messages, okay? All right. I was using an iPod that I had gifted to my mother. You are still using your mama stuff. You're still having access to your mother's stuff. Because at the time I had an Android. Basically, she couldn't communicate with RKelly via FaceTime. And did you use another telephone to also text message and communicate with the defendant? She stated, I did. What phone is that? She states that is the phone that I had at 17 years old. It was an Android. Okay. Now, let's go to page 780. Okay. Now, this is a crazy exhibit that everybody was going crazy about. And so she was asked, do you recognize this exhibit? She said, I do. She said, they asked, well, what is it? She said, it is my phone from high school. Now, be it as it may, these messages wasn't even from Miss Alice's phone. This was from Azriel's old phone from high school. They didn't get these text messages directly from Miss Alice's phone. I didn't make this up. Let me go back to the transcripts. This again, okay? This is the exhibit right here that got everybody out of their mind, because this is the text messages, okay, that came in, okay, that Bojangles brought up. But are y'all hearing? Y'all should have bombs and all that in it. They came from Azriel's device. So it wasn't even directly from Miss Alice's phone. Thank you, Shawty. Yeah. Pow, pow. Ain't nobody talking about that. See, they buy, they coast over that. The freaking text messages were from Azriel's old high school phone. Oh, but what about it, Whitney? Okay. All right. Y'all riding with me? Okay. Yeah. She states it in her transcript. I do. What is it? It is my phone from high school. This is where they receive those text messages. And is that the phone that you were using to communicate with the defendant, or one of the phones were you using? She states it was. So you mean to tell me that this Android, she was communicating with RKelly? This exhibit, these transcripts, these text messages came by way of Azriel's old phone, not from Alice's phone when they seized her phone, but from Azriel's phone. Okay, got it. All right. Let's continue. I'm almost finished here, you guys. Goes on to say, now, before you met with the government or first met with the government, when did you last see the phone that's in evidence as government exhibit 233? Azriel says the last time I saw that phone was in Florida before I left my family. Okay, do you remember when that was? It was probably June or July of 2015. Oh, okay, Whitney. Well, remember the text messages were between April and May, according to Bojangles. Her mama had text messages that arranged the visit with RKelly and all this alleged information. But this was around the time when Azriel was home, and she still had access to her mother's phone. As we read in the transcript, she always had access not only to her mother's phone, but to the iPod, in which she states in testimony she communicated with RKelly, both that as well as her phone. Now let's continue. On page 781. Line 8. Oh, what did you understand at the time that your mom had told the defendant when she was communicating with him by acting as, to my knowledge, she did tell him that I was a musician and that I was an artist. And she did send him videos of me on YouTube of me performing live. And when you started to communicate with the defendant, what, if anything, did you and the defendant discuss over the phone and in text messages? She said initially, he said, I did tell him that I was a musician, and he said that I could come and audition. I thought, according to the text messages, Mama arranged that. That's what I thought. Never in this conversation did she bring up the fact of the matter that her mom communicated with RKelly at no turn. No turn. Because as it goes on, and then right here, initially he said, I did tell him that I was a musician. Okay. So they're building up a rapport at this point. Then she goes on to say, I told the defendant that I was 18. Were you? She said, in fact, he said, in fact, were you 17? She said, I was. And then in this whole dialect, at no way, shape, or form did either of them bring up the conversation between herself and her mother. I noted this. I said this in my notes. Yet she and him talked about auditioning at line 17. And even then, why not at that time did he not mention that he had spoken to her mother? Why not in any way, shape, or form? And I know you probably be like, well, he don't like parents and all that. Oh. But on the contrary, in transcripts, we heard about Catherine. Yeah. Stephanie's friend, Catherine, who RKelly really wasn't interested in hearing. He invited Catherine, Stephanie, Catherine's mama, to audition, in which they went. He heard Catherine sing, but he was more so interested in Stephanie. And so he sent the mama and Catherine on their way. So why at no point in this initial conversation was it not mentioned, or was it at all mentioned, that he had talked to her mom or that he was texting her mom? Let's continue. I want to go on over to page 782. She's asked, did you arrange, was the place arranged and a time arranged for you to have an audition with the defendant? She said, yes, it was. Where was that supposed to take place? She stayed at the Dolphin Hotel. Goes on to say, and whose idea was it to meet at the Dolphin Hotel? It was the defendant's. But I thought mama, daddy, sister, brother, cousin knew. I thought in the text message that we're going to read, Mama was talking to RKelly and was arranging it all alone. That's what I thought. Let's lead up into how she even got to the audition, right? Because the mama drove her there, which we find out to be a lie, that she drove herself. She skipped school and drove herself. But I concur. Let's continue. I'm almost done, you guys. Page 783, lines 22 through 25 states, I was at school. I was at school. And where did you go after school? She said, after patron singers, I didn't go to any sports activity. I went to my friend's house. And this is where things gets interesting pertaining to these text messages, okay? Hope you guys are following along with me. She goes on to say, I went to my friend Malik's house and I got dressed. Oh, okay. So she skipped school or athletics to go to her friend's house where she changes from her school clothes to whatever attire he had told her to be in, right? To audition, right? Or whatever attire Mama told her, right? Remember in the text messages, Mama told her what to wear and what to do? Yeah. So, my bad. She went over Malik's house and got dressed accordingly. Let's just say that, okay? Now, let's go to page 784. Yeah. Oh, well, we on 784. Okay. So, I want to go on over to Bojangles submitted motion, and I want to pull up what Bojangles had to say in regards to Miss Alice and the text messages. Okay. All right. So let me. Okay. All right. Okay, we wrapping it up. We're near the stretch of it. Let me put myself down here. Okay. Now, according to Bojangles, okay, according to little Bojangles, all right. Oh, let me go pull it up. This alleged text message, okay, which we see is a text message, all right, that they gathered from Azriel's phone, okay, states the following. Be prepared to sing 3 songs. He said he will meet you and listen to your song. Please have your glasses off, hair to side. Mama knows best, pretty hurts. And third, your choice. Don't yell, put on a show, dance, grab his hand, shimmy, wiggle, sit on his lap, specifically entice him. while singing is all about performance. This your chance and opportunity. Don't blow it. Jane's mother even told Jane not to look grown. Okay. Goes on to say, in a continuation of text, I'm just reading. Okay. Take off that ugly ass lipstick. I told you he don't want you to be grown. I told you to keep hair curly. That shit look a mess. You need some jeans or shorts. You trying to look grown. He wanted you because you look young and innocent. That's what he want, not a little girl trying to be grown. You're a damn fool. Hold that note, okay? Remember that energy, all right? Save that energy, okay? Now, let's head on over. Oh, Andrew, you getting it? Oh, okay. You gathering with me, Andrew? All right. Let's head on over to Azriel's testimony, okay? Let's head back because, again, I'm just reading, Let's head on over to the transcripts, okay, of Azriel, okay? Now, in Azriel transcripts, all right, they ask, do you recognize, and this is page 785. Now, do you recognize what's shown in 247A? She says, I do. They ask, well, what is that? She said, that is me prior to meeting the defendant. And they ask, and who took the photo? Like, who took the picture? She states, I took that picture. And then they submit it in evidence, okay? All right. So, keep that mental note, all right? Keep that mental note. Keep that mental note, all right? Okay? So she took a picture of herself, okay? We don't hear where it went. We don't hear if it went to RKelly, if she was showing her mama, okay? What she got on, right? Okay, so keep that. Let's now head back to page 785. Remember, I told you to remember something, right? 784. So, up here on 784, she said, the question, Miss Gideon says, you testified that you were at your friend's house and then you got dressed, okay? So, hey, mama probably didn't see. Maybe that's why she took the picture to show mama, okay? Or it could have been for RKelly. But anyways, we don't know, okay? But let's continue, shall we? Now, when asked on page 785, do you remember what you wore when you went to meet the defendant that day? Azriel then answers, yes, I do. I wore black kid me heels and a pair of skinny jeans, dark blue, and a crop top that had mesh at the top. Rewind. Get us? Yes, I do. I wore black kidney heels and a pair of skinny jeans, blue or dark blue. Sounds familiar because I could have sworn Mama. Yeah, she sure did. Mama said Take off that ugly ass lipstick. I told you he don't want you to be grown. I told you to keep hair curly. That shit look a mess. You need, oh, come on, somebody. Oh, come on, somebody. You need some jeans or shorts. But wait a minute. Now, if these alleged text messages were from Mama and prior to her meeting RKelly, why would Mama mention that before meeting RKelly? Don't make sense, right? Because in these alleged text messages, it's giving the alluring aspect that it's a present conversation going on. Why do you look like that? Okay. So just maybe that picture went to her mama. Why would her mother text her to wear jeans if Azriel already states in her testimony that she had jeans on? Come on now. Come on. Come on. Come on. Something ain't right. Something ain't clean in the buttermilk. Either these text messages are from Mama and it was her preparing Azriel to be this freak leak for him at this hotel, or this conversation was happening in a mist, and even then it doesn't make sense. Why would the mama text Azriel to wear something she already had on? Why would Azriel's mother, seeing what her daughter had on, state you need some jeans or shorts when that's what Azriel testified to having on? Don't make no damn sense. None. These text messages are out of order. These text messages don't fit anywhere because these text messages was to save his ass by way of Azriel. Well, how did that? Wait a minute, Whitney. Which way did it go, George? The same way he had Faith, who had nothing negative to say about her parents, text his dumb ass on all his devices. One text message told me she wanted to be with the freaking girls and on sort. The same way he had all of them write letters of falsehoods and things to this nature. He had access to Azriel long before he had access to Miss Alice, long before he had access to Azriel's mind. I want to read something to you guys. Now, I got this from Insider. I'm going to share my screen. Most people know that iCloud is a great way to store backups of your photos, contacts, and documents. But did you know that it can also store backups of your text messages so that you can access them from anywhere? You can access them from anywhere. You can even send text messages without having your phone in your hand, straight from the Messages app on your Mac or another Apple freaking device, and have any message you've sent or received viewable on any sync device. Get out of here. Miss me. This girl had an Android. But we're going to just disregard all that because it don't go along with y'all theory of this hate train for these parents. This lady did not write these daggone text messages. Y'all wanted to hear it? Here it is. She did not do those text messages. These were text messages concocted by Azriel and RKelly, like many of all his letters and text messages and all his other bullcorn that he did. Why does everybody else get a pass, but they don't? That should tell you, why are you thinking the way that you think? Now this is more sinister, because this is no different from any other situation. If you ask me, it's more sinister. And don't come on, miss me with that. Miss me. Miss me. Azriel stood on Gayle King and lied to the world about everything under the directive of RKelly. Embarrassed, humiliated herself in front of the world, only to get back on that platform and denounce everything. This is the reason why. And I went off on my notes. This is the reason why I don't put my mouth on people. This is the reason why I try to get all the evidence and all the facts in regards to the prosecution using these text messages, because one would ask, well, why would they use it? It was evidence, y'all. It was evidence. It came from their main witness's phone. Did they seize the parents' phone? They did. But again, the parents weren't on trial, because shouldn't y'all be asking the question about Alex's mom? Lewis's mom, John Doe. His mama was a self-proclaimed fan of RKelly, who called him and spoke to him, leading up to them going to that party where he whispered in her son's ear. Oh, but no. Let's focus on the CLARYS. Oh, I knew they were trifling. I knew her mama was trifling. Did you? Because Azriel also stood on their stand, only to say that her parents abused her. To then, afterwards, on Gayle King say she never went through abuse. Am I calling Azriel a liar? No. Because then I would have to call all Dominique, Geronda, Faith, all of them liars too. Because they said one thing by being coerced to do so, only to now be on trial to say that none of that stuff that they had to do was true. Coercion. So in regards to these stupid ass text messages, they're text messages, absolutely. But when you get more into context of it, you see where they came from. And you also see the components of it that was Azriel having access several times to all of her mother's devices. Also, being under delusion when it comes to this man. And when you put all those components together, the theory, the thesis of these parents still is, it doesn't measure up. They were none the wiser from the beginning to the damn end of all of this. So much so that they weren't even allowed to go and support her in court because she knew what was going to transpire on the stand. Them, again, being naive, did exactly what their daughter told, being respectful, knowing that she went through a traumatic situation when all these other victims had lawyers, court appointed, not court appointed, but paid for lawyers and their parents there in support of some magnitude. Going on Gayle King alone because she knew that it's something that she had to make right. Y'all are forgetting the mindset of these individuals, the mindset of these people involved in this situation. They're still messed up to this day. Still messed up. We heard on trial how many of them was still trying to take up for this nigga. So as I leave you guys, and I leave this whole stupid situation with these stupid ass text messages, right where the prosecution left it, as Exhibit 233, as a non-motherfreaking factor. Because even when Bone Jangles brought it up, they kept it to the basis. So in regards to all of this, I'm done. I've read the acquittal. I've read the new trial motion response from the government, and that is what it is. We are still, well, we now have to wait for the defense to respond. Let me get the exact date. If I'm not mistaken, it's April 4th, or it could be April 2nd. April 4th. So the defense now has the opportunity to respond if they choose to. They really don't have to. I don't know how they're going to at this point, but whatever. If they choose to respond, they have until April 4th to do so. And then, which I think that's it. And then the judge rules in whatever fate that goes. Okay. But we still have sentencing pending May 4th. Okay. And that's what my sights is set on. And then the trial in Illinois for August 1st. I'm done with New York. No shade, no tea. I'm done with all the components consistent with New York as well. This nigga is not going to get free. He's not going to get this appeal. Okay. He did what he did, and he has to reap the consequences thereof. Simple as that. He's not getting out. Okay. If he was going to get transferred right on over to Chicago. Let's see what you guys have to say, and I'm going to wrap it up as that. I hope I tickled all y'all fancy, and I said what I said, okay? All right. Andrew said they only read the defense part. They did. They didn't go back and meet up stuff. I know for a fact they didn't. I watched a lot of it, and I was just like, oh, so you just gonna disregard that? You just gonna bypass that? Trying to match up what Bone Jangle say, what Bone Jangle said. With her line behind. Half truths. Looking at the jurors, and she didn't even put all the questions on there. And I told y'all gonna stop playing in my face. I told y'all that it was more to it somewhere. I told y'all it was going to balance out, and it did once we got all the facts. Queen Key says, you're right. They didn't think this through. Queen Key says, Az needs to tell people that she and RKelly made the text, but then again, they won't believe her. She came out and said that she wasn't abused by her parents. I got dragged through YouTube streets because of that. I just repeated what she said. Now, why was she lying on stand? Because she did. A lot of them did. Even Demetrius was squirming and worming in his seat because they were faced with this monster who for years beat and abused them and berated them. He over there coughing and doing all this stuff, and it was triggering. Yeah, she lied on the stand. But it's what you can prove in court. And she proved her case. The evidence was substantial. Okay? All of them lied at one point. I said what I said. But because they want to ride a hate train, they want to pick and choose what lies that they're going to go with and what truths they're going to go with. When see, for me to be the biased individual over here, I'm being neutral. I'm being fair and saying, well, this is what she said, but it doesn't add up to this. But at the end of the day, it doesn't negate what RKelly did to her, period. But if we're going to hold some parents accountable, I need some facts. I don't need no alleged, no hate train. And then you want to spew all this stuff out. Because when you deal in emotions, and hate being one of them, you overlook details when it could be towards the opposing party. See, I stay neutral because wherever the chips may fall, I want to be able to cognitively decipher and distinguish corrective direction. And like I told you guys, when I read that, I was appalled. I was like, whoa, I don't remember reading this in the transcript, but we did. But it was chopped up on the prosecution side. And if you ask me, I feel as though they probably was like, well, we knew that shit wasn't real. Excuse my French. We knew that mess wasn't real. All that other stuff. We felt like this was more so general, or at some point in time, she was talking to somebody, be it to her daggone self. It don't matter. She put this information in here, and this was corroborative towards the narrative. They are trying to say because of Tex thought she was 18, but he knew by having to homeschool and take her to graduate. Exactly. It's no way around it. It's no way around it. Shai says, when will the judge respond? We have to wait until the government gets to respond. Now, if they choose not to respond, the government, the judge then in turn will probably respond thereafter. We probably could, because they're going to give them until April 4th. So I say, shoot, you know how Donnelly is, baby. We probably get a response by April 5th in this piece. Okay. You know, so yeah, we can hear something within the weeks at this point. But if you ask me, this is a win for the government. They proved their point in their case. Very detailed. As I expressed to you guys, Bojangles had the nerve, the audacity, the omnipocated gall to sit her little special needs behind. No, let me take that back. Her cuckoo for Cocoa Pups behind on her Twitter and talk noise under somebody's post. And see, that's the thing. She be in these YouTube streets. She be on the Twitter streets and be getting some stupid and appalling information. And she runs with it. And she all on her tummy. I don't know why it's 109 pages. Well, Trick, yours was 56 pages. You had to resubmit your stuff because you didn't submit it properly with all your pages. No, you ain't talking, girl. And they had to be detailed and specific. Shai said those airheads said he will be home next month because they're idiots. Okay? This man is not coming home ever. Never, ever in the day. Even if he gets released out of New York, he is off to Chicago until August. What are we talking about? Queen Key says, yeah, I'm waiting on judge to decide which side she agrees with. Queen Key says, no wonder it took long for sentencing. All this back and forth motions. Y'all got to understand, though, sentencing has nothing to do with this appeal whatsoever. Whatsoever. It doesn't have nothing to do with the appeal. The sentencing was set a long time ago, and it's set May 4th. It's not going anywhere. May 4th, May 4th, May 4th. Okay. All right, you guys, that is it for me. I hope y'all enjoyed this particular video because you won't hear nothing else about it. Not from me. I'm not going to be going back and forth with this. This is not clicks and views for me. I can eat off more than just RKelly tales. Okay. I will continue to keep you guys updated. However, I'm not finna keep finding little details and talking about it. No, that's not what we do over here, okay? So we're going to continue with Where Were the Parents episode on tomorrow, and then Thursday, join me for Straight Talk with Whitney D. And I'm thinking about bringing my music and convos back, but it won't be this Friday. This Friday, I will be joining my members only as we watch the freaking what's that called? Look at me. What is it called? The Secrets of Playboy. So if you are a member, join me. Okay, we're gonna watch 2 episodes. Okay, so it's gonna be 2 hours where we're gonna be engaging with one another and talking about these episodes. Okay, and so that's what I'm gonna be doing Friday night. I don't know what y'all gonna be doing, but that's what I'm gonna be doing. Okay. So not for nothing, make sure you guys keep it cute so you won't get the boot up out the comments. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Like and share this video if you got highly informed, and know that you can join the channel by clicking the link that's pinned in the chat, or that you will be able to find at the end of this video in the description box. Okay. Now, before we leave, okay, I want to give a shout out to Shay Michelle Cosmetics on the beat, baby. This particular lippy is lilac. Okay, if you're wondering what's on my lips, it's lilac. Okay, and then shouts out to Shazazz Creations for the tea. Not for nothing. Ow. This is our merch, y'all. We got merch. We got merch. Okay, so I am sporting our merch. Not for nothing. Okay. Hey, Unspoken Truth by the Unknown. The judge will respond after the defense decides that they're going to respond to this or not. They have until April 4th to respond to the government. However, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I will have to read up more on it, that the defense can submit something stating that they're not going to respond. I could be wrong. But they do have until April 4th. I just looked at the docket. It states here, the government's response is due by March 21st, 2022. And the defendant's reply, if any, is due by April 4th, 2022. Okay. All right. So, yes, they have until April 4th to respond to the government. So the ball is now in the hands, the court of the defense. So we wait again at this point. But right now, it's an ultimate win for the government. Period. Hands down. They addressed everything. You're welcome, honey bunches of oats. The government addressed everything. Although to us, we wanted to hear about the text messages, they addressed the topic at hand that they were trying to allure at, that because of the parents pushing their daughter on him, he couldn't be enticed. And they just got off of it because it ain't got nothing to do with the parents. let's stay right where it's at. And so they did their part, you know. So shouts out and kudos to the government. They did their due diligence. They specifically spoke about everything, not leaving out really too much detail, okay? But not for nothing, you guys. That is it. If you'd like to send me a love package, a product and or service or whatever, or some love mail, you can send it here to my P.O. box. And I promise you, I check it on a week-to-week basis, okay? But now it's your turn to tell me what you think down in the comments below, okay? While you're there, make sure that you, again, like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already, okay? Now, if you like the graphics and wish that you see here on my channel, if you need a start, a boost, for YouTube, be it an intro, outro, or whole roundabout packaging, hit me up, WhitneyDavisPlanning@gmail.com. Now, if you mention this particular ad, you'll get a discount, okay? Yeah, who doesn't like discounts, okay? And yeah, and then we can go from there, all right? Now, if you would like to send me anything pertaining to anything with Whitney D TV, send it to reviewswithWhitneyD@gmail.com, and I promise you I will respond, okay? Well, I love you dearly, okay? But without further ado, as we wrap up every RKelly Tales, and this being the last installment of RKelly Tales number 28, okay? As I leave you guys, you're killing me with this.
Yo, killing me with this. I can't help.
Robert.
You're killing me, man. This ain't not about music. I'm trying to have a relationship with my kids, and I can't do it. Y'all just don't want to believe the truth. You don't want to believe it.
At this point, we briefly pause the interview to give Kelly a moment.
Man, y'all killing me with this. Y'all killing me with this. Y'all killing me with this. Y'all killing me. Y'all trying to kill me. Y'all killing me with this. Y'all killing me with this. Y'all killing me with this. Y'all killing me with killing me, man. Trying to kill me. Killing me, man. Trying to kill me. Y'all wanna believe it? Trying to kill me. Killing me, man. Trying to kill me. I hope this camera keep going. Stupid RKelly. Fight for my life. Stupid RKelly. Do it. Stupid RKelly. Fight for my life. Stupid RKelly. Do it.
What up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. If you're new, don't be. And I mean that. Don't be. Go ahead and click that subscribe button to be a part of Witness Gang, to join the Witness Nation. Now, I am here to let you guys know we are now accepting members. Let me stop stunning. We've been accepting members, but I'm here to tell you more information about the memberships, okay? It's just better here. Why not become a member and support your girl on a month-to-month basis, okay? Now, we have 4 different tiers that you can choose from. They'll probably be somewhere over here, okay? Not for nothing, we have Out of the Bushes for $1.99 a month, okay? And then you can become a Witness member. $3.99 a month. You can't beat that, okay? Now, if you want to take it up a notch and become a Witness gang member, just $9.99 a month, okay? Now, I see you. You want to go even further. That's great, okay? Become a Witness Nation member at $19.99. Okay, now all these proceeds go back into the channel, okay? I pride myself on doing due diligence to give you guys best quality product and content, okay? So if you love what you see here on Whitney D TV and you want to keep it going, make sure you become a member like right now. Like today, like go do it now, okay? Comes with a lot of different perks like members only chats and member only videos and getting updates and exclusive information before anybody does, okay? So what are you waiting for? Go become a member like now. Like right now. Duh. Bye.
Keep it cute or get the boot.